From the Western Hemisphere of planet Earth, this is the Slugs and Bugs podcast, where we talk about faith, family, and the music of slugs and bugs, and sometimes, starting today, the videos of slugs and bugs. Today's guest is Rickey Boyd, who animated the video for our new single, Lydia, Seller of Purple. And longtime fans may recognize Rickey Boyd's name as the puppeteer and voice behind Doug the Slug from the Slugs and Bugs Show, which is a delightful TV show we made 2 seasons of that are streaming on a ton of different platforms, including YouTube. To support the podcast and all things Slugs and Bugs, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com. Hey everybody, and welcome to the new episode of the Slugs and Bugs podcast. I'm Randall Goodgame. Thanks for joining us yet again today. Super excited to introduce to you our guest for today's episode. It has been one of the great pleasures of my adult life to get to know Rickey Boyd. And we've known each other for about the last 7 or so years since we started working on the Slugs and Bugs show together, because Rickey is truly a legend. It's an honor to have you here today, my friend. Just very briefly to tell everybody that years ago you got your start puppeteering on Sesame Street, hired by the man himself, Jim Henson, and worked for years up there in New York City, were for years the director over at Magnetic
Dreams Animation in Nashville.
That's right. Magnetic Dreams here in Nashville, where you guys worked on so many incredible projects, some of which were ours. And then now lately you've been freelancing, puppeteering, animating, and it's amazing to have access to someone like you here in town. I'm just thrilled to get to work with you, thrilled to be your friend, and thrilled to have you as a guest on today's episode.
Oh, well, thanks, Randall. That's very kind of you to say, and I feel the same way. I think that after years of working with puppets and Muppets and kind of migrating around from jobs in New York to jobs in LA or wherever the work was, now that we live in Nashville, to have Slugs and Bugs in my own backyard was just a real blessing. And I love your music. Is great to begin with. So being able to be brought into that family has been a real blessing for us. Yeah.
Well, mutual admiration society then. Well, hey, let's launch into this new video for the song Lydia, Seller of Purple.
Paul and Silas and Luke went to Philippi, a Roman city. Paul and Silas and Luke went to Philippi, where they met Lydia. Lydia, seller of purple. Ooh, what a color few could afford. Lydia, seller of purple. She worshipped the Lord.
I was so excited that you had the time to work on it, because your ability to communicate action and movement is extraordinary. And you're a fantastic storyteller. So there's a lot going on in this song, and it needed to be in the hands of a great storyteller. So it was a great gift to have you on the project. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the video and maybe first how you kind of mapped out how and like decided on the scenes that would be important.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was a joy to get to work with you on this. I love your music. And when I first heard Lydia, we came in to shoot that little promo.
Oh, that's
early
right.
on for the fundraising segment of the thing. And that was the first time I heard it. And you had that group of kids in there singing, and Doug was there to help. And I just thought, man, this is a great song. The exciting thing when we first met about it was just the song itself was just a lot of fun. The wordplay, the made up words, the silliness of the song. But also I had to go back to Sunday school in my mind, because the thing about your songs is they're accurate. They're like, they are accurate. They're well read, but they're silly to hook you in, but they do inform you and tell the story. So getting the who's who, Paul, Silas, and Luke,
right?
Who's the oldest, who's the youngest, what was their profession, all the way down to what do they look like. Lydia, how old was she? When I'm listening to it, I look at it as though I'm listening or watching a Warner Brothers cartoon. And I
Oh.
immediately thought of Lydia. What if she ran a place called Woolmart, Wool, and what if her sheep were dyed purple? So you start
Yeah.
engineering what would she have done?
Yeah.
And then I pitch you that stuff and do sketches. And you said, well, yeah, that's funny, but let's don't call it Walmart. Because then I learned Lydia was the host of the first church ever in Europe.
That's right.
That's a
So,
fact. That's
yeah.
history.
Yeah, I know. It's so
And
fun.
when I was figuring out how to animate her little dance with her purple thing, I
Hmm.
looked at actual dances, Middle Eastern moves,
Wow.
because I thought it would be nice if she were doing something that is reminiscent of what someone might have done. And she's also selling the cloth.
That's right. At the end
Yes,
of the day, she's running a business.
she's a business lady. So we wanted to nail those things, looked up the history of the ships, what they look like.
Wow.
Then I put the guys on it. I made sure that Silas is eating a Greek hero. And the logo on the ship on the sail is a smiling Trojan, but the guy guiding the ship is anything but happy.
Yeah, right. I so love the logo on the sail. It's so
Yes,
funny. And I loved the like Raiders of the Lost Ark like map, the little
yes,
ship going
yes.
across.
And I thought, what if we have them when they land, they get on camels to make the journey from the coast into Philippi. But when Lydia meets them, well, she doesn't meet them at first, but they're in an arena
Right.
like like
Like an
open air theaters,
amphitheater,
amphitheater.
sure.
And we thought, well, what Lydia would have a kiosk, like
That's
she's
right.
selling stuff. So we put her in a kiosk with her purple hats with an L on them. And a recurring character is the Roman centurion.
Hmm.
He shows up throughout the thing and progressively goes from angrier to happier. We won't give the story away, but we go to the
Yeah.
jail. He's part of that. I heard the term used with VeggieTales that called it pre-evangelism, and I like that term because you feel like these
Interesting.
are subjects that when you get into the faith-based stuff, there's such a place for the church and parents to really communicate these things to their kids. What we're doing is really kind of pre-evangelical.
Wow.
It's kind of like we're pointing in a direction and getting them to use their memory skills and stuff to learn this stuff.
That's right. Yeah, it's as I started thinking about the story when I began writing the song, I realized how much there was about this character, this real person that existed, that
Hmm.
really is valuable to learn.
Oh yeah.
So she already feared and worshiped the Lord. Traditionally, it's understood, like you said, she established the first church in Europe,
Yeah. Right. Right.
and it was established by a woman who ran a business. So
Yeah.
there's so much good education
Hmm.
that's happening as you learn her story that it was a thrill to get to, introduce this song that hopefully kids will sing in Sunday school.
Hmm.
But if they do, it'll be because they've seen this video and they want their
Yeah.
their Sunday school teacher to play it. So
Yeah.
thank you for making it so awesome. I mean, it
Oh yeah.
really is. There's so much humor packed in every, we didn't even talk about the flannel graph at the end.
Right. Right.
But there's so much humor and cleverness and creativity. I just absolutely love the sheep that are swinging on
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
on the on the little sheets. But
Yeah.
if you wouldn't mind, one of the great pleasures of just getting to hang out with you has been every now and then you'll start telling me a story about working with Jim Henson and doing one of the Muppets that I grew up watching on Sesame Street.
Uh-huh.
You've shared with me before about some of the similarities that you've enjoyed in sort of the nature of the humor between what we do with Slugs and Bugs
Mhm.
and what you were doing way back there with Sesame Street and the Muppet Show. And I wonder if you could maybe connect the dots a little bit for the listeners and talk a little bit about some of your time there and then maybe how some of that's translated to what we've done together.
Oh yeah. Well, I think when I first met you, when we were talking about the material and when I was listening to the songs, I think I said to you that one of Jim's longtime collaborators, Jerry Jewell, who was his head writer on the Muppet Show, had made the comment about Jim that he effortlessly balanced between the sacred and the silly. And that always stuck with me. There's that balance of silly, funny stuff right next to, in our case, the original material. When you're working from biblical stuff, uh, that's what first struck me. I always wrestled as a young man about, well, if I'm a Christian and I do art, do I need to go into Christian art? Or is it okay? Because I was a huge Star Wars nut and I love monster movies. And
Sure, sure.
I wrestled with that a little bit. And I had well-meaning people saying puppets are of the devil, stay away. And
Oh
I
no.
had other well-meaning people saying, no, this is God's gift. Go, go, go. So there
Yeah.
was a lot of wrestling with that in my mind, and I ultimately felt like the answer was no, this is what you're gifted with, and just honor God with what he's given you. And that's basically where it went. And I was very blessed. It was an up and down road because Jim passed away within 3 years after I started working with him. I mean, it was a bit of a roller coaster,
Hmm.
but working alongside him was just incredible, and working alongside people that were my idols, Frank Oz and Dave Goelz and Steve Whitmire and Richard Hunt and all the key, what they call core performers, was amazing. And I was always pinching myself going, don't screw this up, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't dream it any better.
So I mentioned this in the bumper at the beginning, but Rickey Boyd not only was the head puppeteer for the Slugs and Bugs show, but he also played Doug the Slug. And I had wanted to talk about this because Doug, as you know, is a beloved character in the Slugs and Bugs
Mhm.
world. So whenever people tell me, hey, we love the show, we watch the show, very often the next thing that comes out of their mouth is, we love Doug the Slug. He's our favorite.
That's great.
And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about finding his character.
It's funny because when we first started, I remember thinking, well, he's a slug, so he probably would talk slow. But then there's a point where that drags the story down. So it's like,
Mm,
how do you balance it so it's not so slow? Or do you play against type and make it really fast? Oh, my fast, So there's
right.
all these choices to make. And we did some stuff and sent it to you. And the first thing I found was Doug's more well read than I am.
Oh,
I mean, I got
right.
all these books, but all of this is mostly technical manuals and puppetry and fan books. Doug reads Russian authors.
That's right. He's a big Russian literature guy.
Whenever there was something in the script, I would have to have somebody explain, okay, how do you pronounce that guy's name? This Russian guy. And I'm thinking, Doug would know this, and I
Right.
don't know it. So you're
Yeah.
trying to figure out these blind spots. Okay, what would Doug think about that? And of course, he has a love for pudding. So it's always fun to balance this. Well, it's the sacred and the silly again. It's like
Mm,
he is well read. He knows C.S. Lewis, the Russian authors, but he loves the history of pudding.
yes, yes.
These really weird, kind of odd things that he could
Hmm.
dive into, but with the same attention to detail. It's in the same way that you see a character like Oscar the Grouch loves being grumpy. He's
Hmm.
happiest when he's unhappy. But a character like Doug just loves to stay based in the information.
In the minutia. Yeah.
Yes, he
It's
loves it.
that's right. It's not boring at all to him.
A lot of times the Muppets performers will say, you want a character to be flawed. Or maybe the character wouldn't consider it a flaw. It's like if you're playing a bad guy never thinks of himself as the bad guy.
That's right.
No, he's just right. Nobody else gets it.
Yeah.
So when you play a character, what is it that drives him and why? And another thing I'll say real quick that helps you with the character, sitting on set between takes, you just talk to people with a puppet.
Right.
And I remember Jeff Taylor that plays the
Yes.
accordion. I
Yes.
remember sitting, he loves Doug, and we were sitting between takes, and he's just having a conversation with Doug. Well, Doug, what's up, man? Well, I've just been hanging out. Yeah, what have you been doing? Well, I've been, and they'll go on for 10 minutes.
Right, right. And
And
he kind of comes to life.
you just want to be real in the moment.
Hmm.
And the other thing that I've told people too that you don't think about, one of the most important things about a character, even a performer, is listening. I used to keep a puppet on my desk at Magnetic Dreams to just talk to kids when they came in. And kids would come in on visiting the studio, and I'd put the puppet on, and all I would do would put him on and have him look the kid up and down like that and tilt his head, and they immediately bought it. And before he says anything, and it's because I think it looks like he's thinking, he's considering something, and breathing, sighing, or those little things convince you that the character's alive.
Right. Man. Yeah. Well, you certainly are a master of the craft. There are thousands of Slugs and Bugs show fans that attest to that every day. So, well, we're just about out of time. But Rickey, it has been such a pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to be on the Slugs and Bugs podcast. Thanks for all the work that you've done for Slugs and Bugs in the past, the ways that you have blessed so many thousands of families through Doug the Slug, and also through your animation and your illustration, and now through this new video. So thanks for all the work you've done, and thanks for joining me today on this episode.
Well, no problem. A joy to do it, and I feel very blessed that I met you guys, and I'm now part of the Slugs and Bugs family. And Doug says hi.
That's right.
He's sitting right over here watching. So, you okay, Doug? What? Oh, I said hello. He says hello.
Hey, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much, Rickey. And thank all of you for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.